Welcome to this video on respiration. All your cells need energy for life processes like moving, growing, and repairing. This energy comes from respiration. We'll cover aerobic and anaerobic respiration and the key facts you need for your GCSE Biology exam. The big idea is that respiration is the process where glucose is broken down to release energy inside cells. It's a continuous chemical reaction, not just a physical act. Importantly, respiration is not the same as breathing, which is just moving air in and out of the lungs. Respiration is the cellular process that happens after oxygen reaches the cell. Cells need energy for several vital functions. Movement, allowing muscle contraction for everything from blinking to sprinting. Growth and repair, for dividing cells and building new proteins. Warmth, for maintaining a constant body temperature in mammals and birds. And chemical reactions, powering hundreds of enzymatic reactions within cells. Respiration occurs in all living cells, not just one organ or tissue. The mitochondria are the organelles where the main stages of aerobic respiration take place. They are the powerhouses of the cell. Cells with high energy demands, like muscle and liver cells, contain many more mitochondria than less active cells. We begin with Chapter 1, Aerobic Respiration. When oxygen is available, cells use aerobic respiration. This pathway releases the maximum amount of energy from glucose, making it the body's preferred and most efficient method. The word equation for aerobic respiration is glucose plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide and water plus energy. Reactants, what goes in, are glucose and oxygen. Products, what comes out, are carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Remember the word equation, it's a guaranteed exam question. Aerobic respiration primarily happens inside the mitochondria. Their folded inner membrane, called cristae, maximizes the surface area for energy-releasing chemical reactions. A high energy demand means a cell has more mitochondria. Aerobic respiration is highly efficient, yielding 36 to 38 ATP molecules per glucose molecule. Anaerobic respiration, in contrast, yields only 2 ATP molecules. Aerobic respiration is about 19 times more efficient. A key exam tip is to emphasize that aerobic respiration releases more energy than anaerobic respiration. To summarize aerobic respiration, it requires oxygen delivered via the bloodstream, releases lots of energy, produces carbon dioxide and water as waste products, and occurs primarily in the mitochondria of the cell. It is important to know the difference between respiration and breathing. Breathing is a physical process involving the lungs, diaphragm, and chest movement, exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. Respiration is a chemical process inside cells involving mitochondria and glucose breakdown to produce energy, carbon dioxide, and water. Never write respiration equals breathing in your exam. Now let's explore Chapter 2, Anaerobic Respiration. This process kicks in when oxygen supply is short, such as during intense exercise. It's faster than aerobic respiration but far less efficient, producing different waste products depending on the organism. Anaerobic respiration breaks down glucose without oxygen. It occurs when cells can't get oxygen fast enough to meet demand, like during a sprint. Key facts: it does not require oxygen, releases less energy than aerobic respiration, produces different products, and can only be sustained for a short time. In humans, the equation is glucose produces lactic acid plus energy. During intense muscle activity, glucose is only partially broken down, yielding lactic acid instead of CO2 and water. This allows for continued energy release when oxygen is limited, despite being less efficient. Lactic acid buildup in muscles causes a burning sensation and leads to muscle fatigue. This signals that muscles can no longer contract efficiently, and that the lactic acid needs to be cleared before high-intensity exercise can continue. The oxygen debt is the extra oxygen needed to break down accumulated lactic acid after intense exercise. Lactic acid is transported to the liver and converted back to glucose using oxygen. Once this process is complete, breathing returns to normal and the debt is repaid. This visual summary illustrates oxygen debt. Intense exercise leads to lactic acid buildup, requiring recovery and repayment. Breathing rapidly after stopping exercise means your body is still using oxygen to restore normal conditions in the muscles and liver. We move on to Chapter 3, Anaerobic Respiration in Plants and Yeast. This process isn't limited to animals. Plants and yeast also carry it out, but they produce different waste products, which are vital in food and drink production. In yeast, anaerobic respiration is called fermentation. Glucose produces ethanol and carbon dioxide plus energy. Fermentation has been used by humans for thousands of years to make bread, beer, wine, and even biofuels. Fermentation in action. In bread making, Carbon dioxide makes the dough rise. In wine and beer production, ethanol is the alcohol produced. Biofuels use ethanol from plant sugars as a renewable fuel source. Plants respire anaerobically when their roots are waterlogged and oxygen is excluded from the soil. Like yeast, they produce ethanol and carbon dioxide. Ethanol is toxic to plant cells if it builds up, causing damage or death. This table compares anaerobic respiration in humans versus yeast and plants. Both processes do not require oxygen. Humans produce lactic acid, which is reversible, while yeast and plants produce ethanol and carbon dioxide, which is toxic if it builds up. Let's begin Chapter 4, Respiration and Exercise. When you are physically active, your body's energy demand increases significantly. This section explains how exercise affects your breathing, heart rate, and the type of respiration your body uses. Exercise increases energy demand, leading to higher breathing and heart rates to supply oxygen and glucose to muscles. If oxygen delivery cannot meet demand during intense exercise, the body switches to anaerobic respiration. As exercise intensity rises, the body shifts along a continuum from purely aerobic respiration to including anaerobic processes. The shift to anaerobic respiration explains why high-intensity exercise, like sprinting, leads to greater muscle fatigue. Recovery involves repaying the oxygen debt to remove lactic acid, converting it back into glucose in the liver. Signs of recovery include continued heavy breathing and an elevated heart rate slowly returning to normal. We are now starting Chapter 5, Aerobic versus Anaerobic, the big comparison. Being able to compare these two processes clearly is essential for your GCSE exam success. Let's summarize the key differences. Aerobic respiration requires oxygen, breaks down glucose completely, and releases a large amount of energy in the mitochondria. Anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen, breaks down glucose partially, and releases only a small amount of energy in the cytoplasm. Aerobic respiration produces carbon dioxide and water, is sustainable, and releases a large amount of energy. Anaerobic respiration is short-term, produces lactic acid in humans or ethanol and carbon dioxide in yeast/plants, and releases a small amount of energy. Remember to mention oxygen use, energy released, and products when comparing the two. It's vital to memorize these three-word equations exactly. Aerobic respiration in all organisms produces carbon dioxide and water. Anaerobic respiration produces lactic acid in humans or ethanol and carbon dioxide in yeast and plants. We conclude with Chapter 6, Exam Tips and Common Mistakes. Knowing the subject is crucial, but understanding examiner expectations and avoiding common errors can significantly boost your grade. Avoid common exam pitfalls. Never confuse cellular respiration with physical breathing. Remember the specific products: lactic acid in humans, and ethanol and carbon dioxide in yeast/plants. Also, anaerobic respiration releases less energy, not no energy, and aerobic respiration occurs in the mitochondria. For top marks, memorize all three-word equations and practice writing them. Always state that aerobic respiration releases more energy than anaerobic. Use precise terminology like mitochondria and lactic acid. Finally, link cell structure like a high number of mitochondria to high energy demand and fully explain oxygen debt. Test your knowledge with these quick-fire questions. Take a moment to pause the video and answer them for yourself. Then, check your answers on the right. This self-testing is a powerful revision tool. This diagram provides a full topic overview. Use it as a revision map to ensure you understand every interconnected concept. If any spoke seems unclear, revisit the relevant section of this video. You're now ready for your exam. Remember the key facts for aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration in humans, and fermentation in yeast. The critical comparison is that aerobic always releases more energy. Cover this summary and check your recall. Good luck!